Ethan Cole sat in his small apartment on the edge of the massive orbital space station, staring at the sleek holographic screen in front of him. He rubbed his eyes and sighed. Work had piled up faster than he could manage. Blueprints for new engine prototypes, maintenance reports for the station's outer modules, and a dozen messages from colleagues all demanded his attention. For weeks he had been living on little sleep, surviving mostly on synthetic protein bars and recycled coffee. The solution seemed simple. A robot maid, not just any robot but the latest model, capable of cooking, cleaning, organizing, and even managing minor technical problems. He had ordered it 2 weeks ago, and today the delivery was supposed to arrive. He leaned back in his chair, imagining a quiet evening where he could finally sit back, enjoy a meal, and let someone or something take care of the mundane tasks. A soft hum echoed through the apartment, and a small drone appeared outside his window, carrying a cylindrical package. Ethan frowned. That was not the usual delivery pod. Usually, the robots arrived in standard shipping crates, assembled on-site by station personnel. But curiosity won over, and he opened the door just as the drone floated down and released the package. Before him, where he had expected a sleek metallic robot, stood a girl. Ethan blinked several times, certain that exhaustion was making him hallucinate. She was not human, at least not in any way he had seen before. Her skin shimmered faintly with an iridescent glow, and her eyes were large, round, and almost liquid-like, changing colors as they reflected the light. She wore a simple, tight-fitting outfit like a uniform, but it seemed to hum faintly, resonating with the subtle energy of her presence. "I am Lyra," the girl said in a clear, melodic voice. "I am here to assist you in your daily tasks." Ethan's mouth went dry. "Wait, what? You're supposed to be a robot maid." "I am fully capable of performing all functions expected of a domestic assistant," Lyra replied, her eyes flashing briefly in what seemed like amusement or curiosity. "My systems are optimized for efficiency and multitasking. I am authorized to serve you." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "You're alive. You're not a robot. What? How did this happen?" Lyra tilted her head, her glowing hair swaying slightly. "I am the result of an experimental integration program. I was dispatched instead of the robotic unit you requested. The company deemed me a superior alternative." Ethan took a cautious step back. "Experimental? Superior alternative? You do know this is a private apartment, right?" "I didn't sign up for whatever you are." "I am aware," she said calmly. "I only intend to fulfill your requested tasks." Despite his confusion, Ethan could not help but notice the elegance in the way she moved. Her limbs seemed fluid yet precise, each motion almost mesmerizing. He felt a strange mix of irritation and awe. "All right," he muttered. "Let's see what you can do. Clean the living area." Lyra's eyes flickered and she extended her hands. The objects in the room began to hover. Dust particles shimmered as they lifted into the air, swirling around her before disappearing into a faint glowing mist. The floor gleamed in minutes as if a storm of invisible hands had polished it. Ethan's jaw dropped. That's... Okay, that's impressive," he admitted. "But maybe a little less flashy. I don't want the neighbors calling security." Lyra tilted her head again. "Adjusting method." Efficiency maintained. The swirling light dimmed and the cleaning continued with subtle motions, leaving the apartment spotless without any spectacle. Ethan sank onto his chair, rubbing his forehead. "You're different. Way different. I guess welcome, or something." Lyra paused as if considering his words. "I accept your welcome, Ethan. My objective is to learn human behavior while serving." Ethan blinked. "You're learning? You mean you're studying me?" "Not studying in a malicious sense," Lyra explained. "Observation is necessary to improve my service. Understanding habits, preferences, and routines is part of my programming." The night passed with Ethan cautiously observing Lyra's behavior. She cooked meals with methods he had never seen, blending alien techniques with human ingredients, creating flavors that were oddly familiar, yet completely new. When he tried to relax with a holoscreen, she adjusted lighting and ambient sounds for maximum comfort, reading his body language with unnerving accuracy. Yet, as the hours went by, Ethan noticed subtle quirks. Lyra would pause mid-task, staring out the window at the stars as if lost in thought. Sometimes she would hum a tune he did not recognize, and her skin shimmered in patterns that were neither random nor mechanical. He tried asking, but she would only say, "It is an emotional resonance," before resuming her chores. Despite the strangeness, a bond began to form. Ethan found himself explaining small things about humans. Why coffee mattered to him, why he liked certain music, why certain smells reminded him of home. Lyra listened, absorbed every word, and sometimes repeated phrases in her melodic voice as if practicing understanding. By dawn, Ethan realized he had not slept at all. He was exhausted, but a part of him felt intrigued. "You're really something, Lyra. I don't even know what to make of this. You're not a robot, you're more." Lyra approached him, her glowing eyes reflecting genuine curiosity. "More than a robot. I do not wish to be merely a machine. I wish to understand." He chuckled softly, though it came out weak. "Understanding humans is not easy. Sometimes we don't even understand ourselves." "Then it will be my challenge," she said, her voice almost like a promise. Ethan had almost convinced himself that this was going to be the strangest night of his life, when the apartment's intercom buzzed. A message flashed on the screen. "Warning, unauthorized alien presence detected. Station security en route." He froze. Lyra glanced at the screen, her eyes shifting rapidly. "That was not expected. I was not to be detected. Security measures may consider me a threat." Ethan felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "Threat? You're not a threat. You clean, you cook. You barely even talk about dangerous stuff. Security protocols are not capable of discerning intention," Lyra explained. "I may need to relocate or hide to prevent containment." Ethan swallowed hard. "Hide? Relocate? You mean like we're breaking rules now?" "Perhaps temporarily," Lyra admitted, "to ensure my integration continues without interference." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, pacing the apartment. "This is insane. I ordered a robot maid. Not this. I can't explain an alien girl to anyone. They'll confiscate you or worse." "I understand," Lyra said calmly. "I will comply with your instructions." "Please advise on next steps," Ethan thought fast. His apartment had a small maintenance shaft that ran through the building, mostly unused. It could be a temporary hiding place. "Okay, follow me. But stay quiet. Don't make any glowing lights or anything weird." They moved quickly through the narrow shafts, Lyra's body glowing softly in dim pulses. Ethan realized her presence was oddly comforting, like having a living puzzle that was beautiful to watch. She did not complain, did not stumble, and occasionally whispered advice on optimal paths through the maintenance corridors. He realized she was more than smart, she was intuitive. They reached a small, unused room. Ethan sealed the door, dimming the lights. Lyra sat in the corner, cross-legged, observing him silently. "Ethan, your species is fascinating. Even your fear responses are complex and layered." "I am learning." Ethan sank against the wall, exhausted. "Yeah, humans are complicated. And apparently hiring a maid just got way more complicated." Lyra's glowing skin shifted in color, soft blues and purples. "I apologize for the unintended consequences, but I believe our collaboration may yield interesting results." Ethan looked at her, a small, tired smile forming on his face. "You mean we'll survive this mess together?" "Yes," she said softly, almost cheerfully. "I will adapt to ensure our survival and cooperation." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had spent years alone, focusing on work and ignoring personal connections. And here was an alien girl, unexpected, uninvited, yet somehow already becoming important. The hum of the space station outside the walls reminded him that life was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes extraordinary. He shook his head and laughed softly. "Of all the weird things I expected today, this is definitely at the top." Lyra tilted her head, watching him with an expression that seemed almost human. "Perhaps, Ethan, you are learning as much from me as I am from you." Ethan chuckled again. "Yeah, maybe I am. But let's just survive the next hour before I start learning lessons in alien etiquette, okay?" For a moment, they simply sat together in silence, the hum of the station outside, the dim glow of Lyra's skin casting gentle shadows. Ethan realized that whatever this experiment was, it was going to change his life completely. And despite the danger and confusion, he felt a spark of curiosity he hadn't felt in years. Suddenly, a distant alert echoed through the maintenance room. Ethan's stomach tightened. Security was moving closer. He looked at Lyra. "All right, we need a plan. You can't just sit here glowing, you know." I am aware, Lyra replied. I can alter my spectral signature to avoid detection. Follow my instructions exactly and we will remain undetected. Ethan nodded, adrenaline replacing exhaustion. Lead the way, Lyra, but if we get caught, I'm blaming you for everything. She smiled faintly, a strange, almost human gesture, and stepped forward. Then we shall proceed, but I suspect you will not regret this choice. Ethan pressed his back against the cold metal wall of the maintenance room, his heart pounding like a heavy drum. Lyra crouched beside him, her glowing skin dimmed to a soft, barely noticeable shimmer. The distant footsteps of station security echoed through the corridors, each step making Ethan's stomach twist tighter. He had no idea how they were going to survive this, yet he felt a strange confidence knowing Lyra was by his side. Ethan, Lyra whispered, her voice calm despite the tension. We must move. The route I calculated will allow us to avoid direct patrols, but timing is critical. Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. All right. Lead the way, just don't do anything too flashy, okay? I don't want them spotting your glow again. Lyra's eyes flickered softly. Understood. Stealth mode activated. Together, they crept through the narrow maintenance shafts. Lyra moved silently, her feet barely touching the floor. Ethan stumbled once or twice, his nerves making him clumsy, but Lyra guided him with gentle taps and whispered directions. They passed through twisting corridors, ventilation tunnels, and storage bays. Each step required careful attention, but with Lyra's guidance, they avoided the patrols. You're incredible, Ethan admitted quietly as they paused in a dimly lit corner. I mean, a robot maid would never have done all this. Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly with amusement. I am not a robot, Ethan. I am learning from you, and perhaps in time you will learn from me as well. Ethan chuckled softly despite the tension. I guess I already am. You've got instincts, skills, and somehow you make me feel safer than I have in months. Lyra's skin shifted to a gentle blue. Safety is one of my objectives. But I am curious. Why is it so important to humans to feel safe? Ethan thought about it. Humans, we have instincts, memories, emotions. Feeling safe allows us to think clearly, to plan, to survive. Without it, we panic, make mistakes. Lyra nodded, absorbing every word. Then I will ensure your safety. And perhaps I can also help you understand your instincts better. They moved again deeper into the maintenance maze. Eventually, they reached a service elevator that could take them to a rarely used sector of the station. Ethan hesitated. Are you sure this is safe? Probability of detection is low, Lyra replied. However, we must remain cautious. Ethan pressed the elevator call button. The doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, Lyra placed a hand on the control panel. The metal beneath her touch shimmered faintly, responding to her presence. The elevator lifted smoothly, bypassing several floors without activating the usual security logs. Ethan's jaw dropped. You're manipulating the system? He asked in awe. Correct, Lyra said simply. I can interface with technology on multiple levels. It is part of my design. The elevator stopped at a quiet sector near the station's observation deck. Ethan pushed the doors open, peering out cautiously. The area was empty. He let out a quiet sigh of relief. All right. I think we're safe for now. Lyra scanned the surroundings, her glowing eyes sweeping across every detail. Temporary safety confirmed. But long-term strategy is required. Remaining in hiding indefinitely will not be sustainable. Ethan nodded. Yeah, I know. We need a plan. But first, let's figure out why the company even sent you here. This is way beyond a simple maid. Lyra's expression softened. I'm not entirely certain. My knowledge of the program is incomplete. It appears I was sent to observe human behavior in a domestic context. But my capabilities far exceed those of a standard unit. Perhaps this was intentional. An experiment in human-alien integration. Ethan frowned. Integration, you mean? We're basically a science experiment? Possibly, Lyra admitted. However, experiments are often unpredictable. That is why our actions here are crucial. How we interact, survive, and adapt will determine the outcome. Ethan shook his head, a mixture of disbelief and fascination in his eyes. Of all the weird things to happen. Yeah, being part of some alien experiment definitely takes the cake. For a moment, they sat together on the observation deck, watching the stars beyond the station's glass walls. Ethan felt a strange calm wash over him. Despite the danger, despite the confusion, he felt alive. Ethan. Lyra said softly. I want to learn more about humans, not just your routines or habits, but your culture, your history, your emotions. Ethan smiled faintly. You're asking for a lot, Lyra. Humans are messy, emotional, and complicated, but I guess that's what makes life interesting. Lyra's skin shifted to a soft violet as she processed his words. Then it is a challenge I accept, and perhaps you will also learn from me. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert echoing through the station. Ethan's stomach tightened. They're searching the observation sector. We have to move again. Lyra rose gracefully. Follow me. They slipped through a service tunnel leading toward the station's maintenance control hub. Ethan marveled at how Lyra interacted with the technology around her. Doors opened before they reached them. Lights adjusted automatically and sensors remained blind to their presence. Every step she took seemed calculated yet fluid, almost artistic. When they finally reached the hub, Ethan realized the station was in chaos. Lights flickered and panels displayed warning messages. Lyra approached the main console, placing her hands on the controls. Her skin shimmered brighter as streams of alien energy interfaced with the station systems. Ethan, she said, the station is unstable. I can stabilize critical systems temporarily, but full control requires cooperation. Cooperation? Ethan asked, stepping closer. You mean, I have to help? Yes, Lyra replied. Your human insight combined with my abilities can prevent catastrophic failure. Together they worked. Ethan input commands guided by Lyra's precise instructions, while she manipulated systems beyond human comprehension. The station's lights stabilized, panels returned to normal, and alarms ceased. Ethan felt a thrill of adrenaline. We actually did it. We saved the station. Lyra's eyes glowed softly in satisfaction. Yes, your understanding of human logic complements my capabilities. Together we are more effective than either alone. Ethan grinned, exhausted but exhilarated. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're kind of amazing. You are learning as well, Ethan, Lyra said. Your adaptability, creativity, and problem-solving are impressive. Humans are more remarkable than I anticipated. For the first time, Ethan felt a real connection with someone or something that truly understood him, not just as a human, but as an individual navigating a universe full of uncertainty. Lyra was more than a maid, more than a machine. She was a partner, a friend, and perhaps in some strange way, family. As the station systems returned to normal, Ethan finally allowed himself a moment of rest. Lyra sat beside him, her glowing form casting gentle light across the room. Ethan, she said softly, despite the initial confusion, I believe this arrangement is mutually beneficial. Ethan chuckled, leaning back. Yeah, I guess it is. You came here by mistake, but somehow, I think it was the best mistake ever. Lyra tilted her head, a faint smile on her lips. I am learning that mistakes can lead to unexpected outcomes. Perhaps this is one of them. Hours passed, and Ethan realized he had not eaten or slept since Lyra's arrival. Yet he felt strangely invigorated. There was a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years, a feeling that life could be extraordinary if one embraced the unexpected. I guess we have a long road ahead, Ethan said quietly. Station security will keep searching. The company will want answers, and we don't even know why you're really here. But I think we can handle it. Lyra's eyes shifted to a gentle green. Together we can adapt, survive, and learn. The unknown is not something to fear, Ethan. It is something to explore. Ethan smiled, a real, genuine smile. You know, for a maid, you give really bad advice sometimes. Lyra laughed softly, a sound like a soft chime. Perhaps. But humans seem to appreciate the humor in imperfection. Ethan leaned back, letting the quiet hum of the station fill the room. For the first time in a long while, he felt at peace, knowing that whatever came next, he was not alone. An alien girl had arrived instead of a robot, and somehow, that was exactly what he needed. The stars outside the station stretched endlessly, full of possibilities, and for the first time, Ethan imagined a future where human ingenuity and alien understanding could coexist. He looked at Lyra, and she looked back, her eyes reflecting hope, curiosity, and determination. And in that quiet shared moment, Ethan realized that life was unpredictable, dangerous, and strange, but also magnificent. They had survived the first day together. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and perhaps new adventures. But for now, they were ready. together. And with that thought, Ethan allowed himself to rest, knowing that the strange partnership he had never asked for was exactly what the universe had intended for him.